talk a little bit about an especially gifted and intelligent group of people that I have the privilege of working with called systems engineers.
The best way I can think of to describe what a systems engineer is and does is they're basically the equivalent of a modern day alchemist. Probably the biggest factor that distinguishes a systems engineer from a normal engineer is they're multidisciplinary.
For example, somebody who would be both an electronic and a mechanical design person. So what this means is that not only are systems engineers experts in all aspects of the physical, mechanical, the electronic design, but they also have to be equally well versed in software, firmware, and all of the more abstract and intangible aspects of engineering.
It's important to note that different companies in different industries will have their own definitions of what exactly it is to be a systems engineer. For most large technology, engineering, aerospace type firms, they're basically like the rock stars of the engineering world. These people are essentially the pinnacle of the engineering food chain.
They represent what most everybody in the industry aspires to be someday.
You can thank systems engineers for everything from your toaster oven
To the new F-35 Joint Strike Fighter,
to your grandma's hearing aid, to your cell phone,
International Space Station,
to even, something as simple as a vacuum cleaner or even like a recliner chair. Modern systems engineers have extensive technical backgrounds, usually encompassing at least a decade in school, a doctorate or at least a master's level education in usually multiple disciplines.
So what this means for most people on a traditional engineering career path is that they'll spend several years working in one specific discipline, let's say software development. And after having spent a few years and excelling in that particular field, they'll leave their job and essentially have to start over from square one in an entirely new discipline, let's say electronics design.
A lot of times this will mean that somebody has to take a pretty significant pay cut. Oftentimes, systems engineers will oversee and direct dozens, if not hundreds of people working on multiple teams and different projects. So back to the concept of modern day alchemists. What really amazes me about the systems engineers is their ability to essentially take nothing, just a concept or an idea,
or a set of specifications from a customer, and basically out of nothing, out of just raw materials, pieces of silicon and plastic and metal and software tools, they're able to create amazingly complex systems. So systems engineering usually involves a great deal of modeling and simulation in order to validate the assumptions and theories as to how the systems will actually react in a real-world environment. This practice is essential to the early detection of possible issues or failures that might come up in the future. It's the systems engineer's job to make sure that these highly complex tasks are executed properly the first time around. A major component of any systems engineer's responsibility is this type of foresight and exploration of the critical issues before people actually go to work putting all the pieces together. Re-engineering portions of a system once a project's underway can be extremely costly and can even shut an entire project down. So for all the devices and contraptions that we fill our lives and world with, there's at least one, if not a number of systems engineers that are personally responsible for bringing it all together and making it all work so nicely. So next time you make a phone call, toast a piece of bread, open your refrigerator, or even type an email, take a second and think of all the brilliant minds and the systems engineers and all the hard work and ingenuity that went into making all the things that we use work as well as they do.